Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of the universe, this is RosterWatch. My name is Alex Dunlap. I'm joined by Cody Carpentier, and today, Cody, here on a big Thursday, 1 week out from the NFL draft, where we'll be broadcasting live there with our friends from Player Profiler, a big, beautiful draft house, and a bunch of great coverage. We're going to make sure that you guys have access to all that stuff. We'll embed it on the ticker over at rosterwatch.com. So you'll be able to find us there during those days. But we wanted to go today and realizing that as we're there at the draft house, providing that coverage, we're going to be going through and doing the skeleton of the RosterWatch Dynasty rookie cheat sheets. As we're doing them, we're going to have to adjust for draft capital and landing spots and everything, of course. We've gone through a bunch of exercises showing you how things are going to be different once we understand all that stuff. But we wanted to go through right now. And Cody, do you want to explain this process that we're going to be going through as far as just putting these guys into tiers and buckets? And then from there, we can make the changes and all the rest as we find out more information through the course of the draft.
Yeah, so for those watching on YouTube, you can see I've shared the screen, and we have a tier marker kind of up on the screen right now. I'm going to put it up on the screen here in just a second. And basically what it is it's going to try to give us a good visualization of how we see guys according to the board. And I guess the easy way to explain this is a week ago we talked about things to buy and sell in Dynasty. Each of the last 2 weeks we talked about buys and sells in Dynasty. One of the things Alex brought up was selling if you have the 108 or the 110. Once you get on the clock in your rookie draft, potentially selling to get out. Today I kind of wanted to walk through the players and how we see them versus what we think that draft capital looks like and where they looking at them in a vacuum and saying, like, does this guy really belong in the first round of your rookie drafts? Or is he a guy that we think is generally a second rounder? And, you're paying too much to draft this guy in the first round. Maybe you should get into the second round and you can find values in this different area. Again, we're pre-draft. We're a week before the NFL draft. So draft capital is going to come in here. We'll do this exercise again after the NFL draft. Once we're really building the rookie draft cheat sheet and things like that. But I kind of wanted to walk through here and kind of create tiers. Like you said, put these guys in buckets and kind of talk.
Before we do that, all right. So before we do that, I wanted to go over just a couple things just really quick because DraftKings put up some new betting markets for the NFL draft, and it relates to the stuff that we talked about yesterday. So can we talk about that just real quick? I'm super interested to hear kind of what you think about this.
What do we got?
Okay, let's see. So we have here. So yesterday they only had the player with the pick through the 5th pick. Overnight they put it up through the pick 10, and I'm just really interested in this pick 9 and pick 10 because they have Shadur Sanders right now and Jackson Dart as plus 200 and plus 550 is by far for the Saints the two top options. And we talked yesterday about how we think maybe it's not leaning towards quarterback there with the Saints. If they were going to go,
do they have other players listed or just those two?
Oh, no. So they have the next up is Tyler Warren plus 800, Michael Williams plus 1,000, Will Johnson plus 1,200, Shamar Stewart plus 1,200, Genty plus 1,200, Tet McMillan plus 1,500, Jahad Campbell plus 1,500, Mimbu plus 1,700.
I like Membu and Shamar Stewart.
Jalen Walker plus 1,800. They don't think he'll fall that far. Kelvin Banks at plus 2,200. Jahdae Barron plus 3,500 was kind of interesting to me. I also noticed at number 7, Mimbu is the favorite for the Jets here at minus 115. They have Tyler Warren at plus 300. And I'm really starting to like Tyler Warren to the Jets, as we talked about yesterday. And if that is the case, and I don't know if you can parlay this stuff, I would say
I don't think you can.
You can't parlay these.
No.
Okay.
The only parlaying you can do is when they give you the exacta, and those don't come out usually till next week, which is the exacta is like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. So so even if it's not a parlay, even if you want to like correlate some stuff and you think that Tyler Warren does go number 7 to the Jets, I think that it becomes interesting to look down here at Colston Loveland, who at pick 10 to the pick 10 to the Bears is plus 3,500. Because there is some talk that the Bears are super interested here in this one, and if that's the case, they're more interested in tight end than I had really envisioned, is what some people are saying. That's what some of the Chicago sports media is saying right now. And Colston Loveland at plus 3,500. I also think that this stuff with like Omari and Hampton, if they do go that way, is at plus 1,500. Kelvin Banks is at plus 900. I mean, for the top pick for number 10 here is Ashton Genty at plus 300. Tyler Warren at plus 350. Kelvin Banks at plus 900. Mimbu plus 1,100. Mike Hill plus 1,000. Will Campbell plus 1,100. But Hampton at plus 1,500 sounds interesting to me at number 10. Something we've at least seen mocked. But Loveland at plus 3,500 to me feels super, super, super sneaky.
That's interesting. That's a big margin there. I think one of the first things I'm going to do when I cross the border is I'm going to dabble into just all these tackles from the Jets to the Saints to the Bears to the Niners. I'm going to try and get some action on all 4 of those teams with Membu, Banks, and Simmons.
Simmons
doesn't even populate for any of those teams, does he?
No, dude, let me look at it. I'm having a little bit of a take you behind the curtain here, Cody, but I'm actually flying without my mouse died on me. So I can't get back to DraftKings at this point. And it's going to be an interesting show without a mouse. I'm going to be kind of off the not going to be able to help with any of the production of the show. So yeah. So I have nothing else on DraftKings unless you want.
Can you at least see the screen so when I pop up the league?
No, I can't. But it'll be fine unless you give me like unless you want to just talk over the philosophy and the stuff for this, and I can see if I can go find some kind of charger real quick.
Yeah, go do it. I'll pop up FanDuel. I'll do it. All right. So my philosophy, sort of, I kind of went through. I'm on the talking about soft shell rookie draft cheat sheet. I'm kind of on a soft shell right now for a 7-round mock draft. I'm going to try to have completed sometime Saturday. I'm departing for Tampa on Sunday for the NFL draft coverage we're going to do down in Tampa Bay. And I'm going to try and have that done Sunday so it can be published on Monday, a 7-round mock draft over on RosterWatch.com. And part of that is going through the exercise of figuring out, it feels like everybody's hitting a wall once we get through the Panthers. And the Panthers has been the Jalen Walker thing. Up until that point, it feels like it's just chalk, 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 chalk. And then when you get to the Saints and the people that have been rather tapped in, I talked about this yesterday a little bit, but talked to another source this morning, doesn't think the Saints are anywhere near the conversation with Shedeur Sanders. They actually got 3 big names on their board that they really think they can get here at 9. Shedeur's not on that list, nor is any other quarterback. So thought that was very interesting. Think the Shamar and Membu thing, plus 1,700 for Membu, plus 1,200 for Shamar Stewart, is very interesting for the Saints. We saw Shamar Stewart mock there just this last week. I think that was Mike Band, former Roster Watch Nation. Mike Band now with Next Gen. Shamar's interesting. I think when you look at the Saints, just because they've told us they're going to be a team that tries to get in or not get into, but really take on a rebuild and devote energy towards a rebuild. So I think that's merit there. We talked about Trevor Penning yesterday with the Saints. I'm trying to pull up the odds right now from DraftKings to see what Alex was talking about. So draft position, the one I was talking about just a second ago was Josh Simmons, the tackle from Ohio State. There's no overall odds available on him. But I said one of the things I want to do from a strategy perspective is looking at those top picks right now, looking at picks, Jets picking at 7 You have the Saints picking at 9, the Bears at 10, and the Niners at 11. And even Dallas Cowboys to a certain extent at 12. If one of these guys falls there, you think about Membu playing right guard or Banks potentially popping in there and then moving somebody else over to the right side. Some people even think that Banks can play right side. But the Jets, the Saints, the Bears, and the Niners predominantly are the four teams I'm kind of looking at like one of the tackles is going to be gone at 4 with the New England Patriots. Who else is going to be there and who else is going to come off the board? We always see tackles go earlier than expected. We always see quarterbacks go earlier than expected. So trying to find that. Kelvin Banks' number also from the Texas Longhorns, his draft number is down to 13.5. I feel like a couple of days ago, Alex, you and I were talking. I don't
That
know
was
if it
at
was
17
RosterWatch
and a
or Orange
half.
Bloods. It was at 17.
Yeah, 17 and a half.
So now it's down to 13
Because
and
we
a
were like,
half.
what are they doing? They're trying to protect against Seattle. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah. Would you say right now you think 13 and a half is protecting against Seattle?
No, that was what it was at the time. I
Yeah.
remember that was the conversation. So right, Seattle's at 18, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that number's come down. I think we talked about it. Like it should have been down regardless. I'm trying to find if there's anything on Simmons right now. First round, Simmons is minus 800. I don't think that was really in the question, but kind of gives you a perspective on odds there. Other surprising names, like we talked about, Shamar Stewart right there to the Saints is plus 1,200, but to stay in the first round is minus 2,000. I don't really know what else I was going to say other than I can't find any specific team-to-team odds with a Simmons to any of those four teams. I'm trying to find a Membu connected to Cowboys or connected to the Saints. What was the Saints one again? 1,700. Okay. You got a mouse back now?
Yeah, I got a mouse back.
Okay.
I'm good.
What do you think of that, though? What do you think about these tackles going off somewhere in that range? Tackles going off earlier than expected. We talked about the 2019 class.
They always do.
Yeah.
They just do. They're going to. I think Simmons is going to go earlier. I think I was just looking. So it's if you look at the first round stuff, I just think for one, let's talk about. So right, the first underdog.
Wait. Banks dropped to a plus 1,200 to be the first offensive lineman drafted. He was at plus 3,500.
No, that was to be. No, he was at plus 3,500.
We talked about that yesterday.
But was that the to be? No, that was to go at pick 4. But that probably will be the first offensive lineman drafted. He still is plus 3,500 to go pick 4. As far as it looks like even Connerly now is a favorite to go round 1, minus 200. So Simmons is minus 800. They don't even give a listing for Will Campbell, Armand Membu, or Kelvin Banks. So they're just expecting those 3. Gray Zabel is the next offensive lineman, but he's a guard. And then Josh Simmons is minus 800. Tyler Booker's next. He's minus 700, but he's a guard. Then Josh Connerly is minus 200. He's a tackle. So we're looking at the sports books are projecting 5 tackles with the next, like, I guess, quote unquote tackle. I wouldn't consider him a tackle. Is Donovan Jackson at plus 190
To go first round?
Yeah, Ariante Urseries plus 550.
I like Jackson going first round.
I think he probably will too, right? I think he will too. As far as these underdogs to go first round, the kind of the shortest underdog here is Jalen Milroe at plus 130. That's just them saying we don't think he's going to go, but we think we might trap people because he's been invited to attend.
Yep.
Travion Henderson. Oh, so he's not the short. Travion Henderson is at plus 110. I get the feeling that people aren't going to be going any more running backs after the first 2. Luther Burden plus 160, Nick Scorton plus 190, Donovan Jackson. I think I like Donovan Jackson plus 190. Siobhan Ravel Jr. plus 220, the corner out of where's East Carolina?
Yep.
Trey Amos plus 240. Some of these just don't sound. Landon Jackson at +3. I think that these aren't priced well enough.
Yeah, I don't like really any of the dogs outside of Donovan Jackson at +190. I think
Could
there's a couple of fades here on the favorite side. I think Ibuka's probably a little bit of a fade.
yeah, I would agree with that. I would have said Hairston's a fade, but now I mean he's been invited to the thing now. Is James Pierce at -145 a fade, or will somebody just have to take him even with the off field stuff?
Honestly, he's kinda is.
I think so too. Although I was reading about his off field stuff, is it really that bad?
I don't know.
Feels like it's more. I mean, people say that it might just be more kind of his personality. But as far as the things he's actually been accused of doing, unless I'm missing something, um, it doesn't seem as serious in nature as some of the other things that we're hearing, like with that they're going to have guys slipping down certain boards. But then again, I've not done a super deep dive on it. There might be something out there that I don't know about or that I haven't heard about. So
He seems like the type of cat to be like the first, second, or third pick in the second round.
yeah. All right. Well, so do you want to just get into the exercise here with the tier making for the Dynasty rookie drafts and how we're going to be sort of seeing this thing pre-landing spot and pre-draft capital? Now that we've kind of talked over some of these new markets that are emerging as far as the draft player props.
Let's do it. All right. So let's start out here. I got 5 tiers for those listening on podcast. For those watching on YouTube, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you're on pod, I got tier 1, which is the top pick. Tier 2, round 1. They're worthy of being a first round pick in your rookie drafts. Tier 3 is going to be more like late first, early second consideration. We'll talk through those. Tier 4 is going to be round 2. And then tier 5 is going to be like fringe. We're basically trying to talk about the top 20-ish players. We'll see how many we get through, see how many we think deserve to be in the first 2 rounds. Again, 2 rounds, generally 24 picks, 12 in each round if you're playing in a standard normal league. But we'll see how many guys we think deserve to be in the first 2 rounds. That's kind of the idea behind the exercise. So I guess we start out with the A1 steak sauce, Ashton Genty. In the tier 1, that's the 101. That's been our 101 in all the mocks we've done. You can go watch the rest of those mocks on RosterWatch on YouTube or listen to them on podcast. I think we usually do like 1 or 2 a week. But Genty's been the 101. Do you disagree? And do you think anybody else deserves to be in this conversation?
Yeah, I'm going to go against everything I've said all year right here with a week out. No, man. Yeah, Ashton Genty, class of his own, right there at the very top for sure. I wouldn't this is one quarterback, right?
Yeah.
I think, but even if it were super flex, I think Cam Ward is just I think it's super flex just because the way I play super flex, I play Cam Ward at the 102. But it's tough between him. I'd almost make that a tier where it was just 3 players, where it would be Omarion Hampton, Cam Ward, and Travion, right? But I think the way that you have this set up, the tiers aren't that narrowed down as far as their definition, and this isn't super flex, so
Do you want to do super flex? We could just, we're at the top pick. We could just do super flex.
it might make it more interesting.
All right, let's do super flex.
I kind of think more people play super flex nowadays than one quarterback.
We did get a comment on YouTube yesterday saying a lot more 1 QB content. That must be rising. And I was like, well, it's super flex. It's kind of the thing rising. So let's do super flex. Screw it. Does Cam Ward deserve to be in this tier?
No, I'm not going to there's not been a mock where I've taken Cam Ward over Ashton Genty. I can't put him in the same tier. It's like you take Genty at the 101.
All right.
Have you seen on X, dude, some of this stuff? It's almost become a meme of the packages that are getting sent for Genty right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
People saying like, I can't believe it. They'll like show a screenshot from Sleeper saying like, do you want the package or do you want Genty? And it's just like, man, some of these packages are pretty big. It's like good player plus a 1 this year and a 1 next year, or it's like people are going ham right now. It's really hard to get up to the 101.
Can I tell you my favorite one?
What?
It was receive the 101, send Brevin Spawn Ford Lil Jordan Humphrey, Kenny
What?
McIntosh, Clayton Tune, and Tyler Goodson, and $5.
$5 fab. Okay.
I was
Well,
like, oh, that's too good. That's like, I mean, it's worth it. Come on.
people have just jumped the shark. I can't. That's obviously a joke, but
Yeah.
that's fun. It's funny, man. People do that stuff. You're like, are you kidding me? You're gonna send all like we're like we're like 15 days away from like roster cuts, and you're sending me all these dudes that you would be maybe having to think about cutting anyway, and you want to consolidate them into some decent player that I have.
Yeah.
It's just those are the kinds of things where I just tell people, don't ever send me a trade again. I just don't ever do it.
Don't just take my name out of your contact.
Yeah.
All right, let's put Cam Ward here in tier 2. He deserves to be a first round pick.
Hampton,
Who else?
Omari and Hampton, of
Okay.
course. Travion Henderson, of course.
Does Judkins belong in this conversation?
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Until we find out that he's going to until we find out he's going to go be a New York Jet or some kind of Green Bay Packer. But Judkins goes to the San Francisco 49ers or something, I'm going to be tilted. I mean, Judkins feels like a guy that needs to go to a spot where, like, I want him to be in Cleveland. I want him to be in KC. I want him to be in. Let me just look and see
Las
sort of.
Vegas.
Las Vegas. Send him at pick 41 to Chicago, right? Send him at pick 44 to Dallas.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that gets. That's the kind of stuff that really, really, really gets me going. Pick 51 to Denver somehow, right?
I mean, yeah, if they pass on running back, they could definitely pass on running back in the first round. I mean, this is a deep thing that we haven't really gone through that thought process of what if, outside of Genty and Hampton's kind of the thought there that he'll be a top 20 pick and 20 being the Broncos is the floor.
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't take him and they just say, and he falls to like the Browns at the top of the second, that's also awesome. But then that would give the idea that, these teams are like, all right, we got to hammer out D-line. We got to hammer out edge, tackle. We got to hit these positions that are deep. And then we can come back to running back in, the third round and the fourth round. And that could be where we get a bunch of these guys. Ketterol McMillan.
Yeah, he's got to be in that tier.
Okay.
He's
Travis Hunter on the Browns. That's kind of where he's being mocked right now heavily.
Yep.
In fantasy football, Travis Hunter on the Browns, where I don't want to get the quote wrong. Andrew Berry came out and said, one second here. Andrew Berry came out and talked about Travis Hunter. I think it was today or yesterday. He said, and I quote, Andrew Berry, this is from Cameron Wolf. He says, Andrew Berry says that he sees Travis Hunter first as a receiver, second on defense.
I mean, if he sees him first as a receiver, then we need to. I mean, Travis Hunter should be up there with Travi. I mean, he should be ahead of Quinshawn.
Here's the quote from Berry. It's a little bit like Ohtani, Shohei Ohtani, baseball. Pitcher or hitter, he's an outstanding player. You get a unicorn if you use him both ways.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, he's obviously, yes. I would take him in front of McMillan. I would probably take him in front of Judkins. I'm not sure I would take him in front of Travion just because there's still a little bit of worry there that he plays corner. You got to bake in some of that.
I'll be honest with you. The Matthew Golden thing for me, I love Matthew Golden. He's kind of a fringe guy for me between like, does he deserve to be a first round pick in fantasy football?
Or is he more of a late first, early second?
Yeah.
I kind of think so too, because I'm beginning to become a little bit worried about landing spots for him. We're seeing a lot of Arizona. We're seeing a lot of Seattle. We're just seeing a lot of these second fiddle kind of landing spots, and not to say that he wouldn't have been second fiddle in Dallas. I guess he still would have been. And he does project as a really good number 2 in the league. So I'm getting the feeling like I really feel like whatever team takes Ted McMillan is going to love Ted McMillan and they're going to want to feature him.
Mm-hmm.
And the Browns are going to, if they don't feature Travis Hunter, they're idiots. I think that Matthew Golden could be a really good football pick where they're like, man, imagine what he can do for our offense.
Like Seattle.
Yes. Arizona. Although I'm beginning to think more and more that Arizona's gotta do line on one side or the other.
All right.
So Golden, I think, is probably heads up this tier along with you got to get Egbuka in this tier.
I was just going to ask about Egbuka because to me, like Egbuka, if he's this early second round guy to like a Tennessee or a New England, I know we're talking pre-draft right now. I would say pre-draft he's got to be right here, but I think there is potential post-draft that he jumps a tier.
Why would he jump a tier going to New England?
What do you mean?
I guess if we're just saying it's like we can't just fixture it being the New England of old, I just worry about.
You think Drake May is going to be like
No, I
Justin
think
Herbert and just kind of like
we
never?
wonder what kind of do you not wonder what kind of offense and what kind of just general system and what kind of just style of play that Mike Vrabel envisions can win football there?
I mean, Josh McDaniels.
What do we think?
I think he's at least in this tier right now. I think later we can have that conversation when we come back. The other name here is what? Caleb Johnson.
I think Luther Burden for sure needs to be in this one, and so does at this point I think Shadur Sanders. Caleb Johnson.
Is Caleb Johnson towards the front of this line ahead of Matthew Golden?
No, not until we know his landing spot.
Okay.
I'm not even sure I'd put Caleb ahead of Egbuka or Burden. That would make Caleb Johnson what, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like the 111. I think that's just about right. But as we've seen, I think in Superflex he has the upside to be moved up to like the 106, 107 with just an elite landing spot.
Okay. We did a mock a couple of weeks ago with landing spots: Chicago, Tyler Warren, Indy, Colston Loveland, and they went 7 and 8 respectively. No draft spot here, but we kind of have an idea of
Tyler Warren needs to be in this one.
Yes. So that's what my question is. Do you think non-premium Warren and Loveland in this tier?
Sure. Yeah.
Are you saying Loveland maybe not?
Well, I was thinking Loveland's going to go early round 2 in this kind of setup, I think.
But it's not about where he's going to go. It's about the value. Like, do you think he deserves to be a late first, early second round pick? From a prospect perspective.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So if
Is
we look
anybody else?
I was just going to think of that. If we look back at our mock results, the only other name that's kind of close here is Dart. Jackson Dart, without a landing spot, projected first round draft capital in the NFL. We've heard the attachments to the Saints, the Steelers, Superflex.
Yeah, that's it. Oh no, so Dart, I think Dart, he's more like he's gonna be in the meat of the order here in the round 2 stuff, I think. Right?
Okay.
I'm not sure dude, this is where I start to go with like RJ Harvey and Dylan Sampson and stuff, just as round 2 picks. I put Scatterbo in there. I know that you don't. Tootin's got to be in there. I think. Does Tootin have to be in there?
I don't know if these are all second round. Like, man, this is why I wanted to do this. Because you get to like right here and you're like,
well, but here's the thing. Guys are going to be taking like Jaden Higgins and Imanner and stuff right here and all the rest. And I'm just like, dude, are we really going to be taking wide receivers in this running back draft class right there?
I think you're going to be taking Higgins in round 2. Higgins is going to get the draft capital.
Okay.
And if
Do
he's
you
one of
think
the
do you
first,
think he's Trey, like, well, what about Trey? Then Trey Harris has to be in there.
in the second round, though, what if he's a third round pick?
I think he's still probably going to be. People are still going to take him in the second round of Dynasty, aren't they? People are going to take him. There's no way they're just going to take him.
Okay, we've heard Jack Besh's name a lot lately, and Torrey Horton's gaining some steam among draft analysts. If Besh is a second round pick, Torrey Horton's a third round pick. Today, would you say they're both fringe guys?
What about where's RJ Harvey?
He's right here on the front of the fringe.
Okay, I thought that was Tootin.
Where?
Okay. Those two upper bodies look kind of similar, don't they?
For Tootin and Harvey?
Yeah, their lower bodies don't. We putting in Jarquez and stuff. What about Jalen Milroe in round 2? Yeah.
In Superflex, Jalen Milroe. His ADP's there. His ADP right now is 17th in Superflex and 21st in 1 QB in Keep Trade Cut.
Yeah, I think that's right. As much as in this friends group, I'd have guys like, man, I think for me, I would have guys like, I just been much more interested in like Trevor Etienne and like Devin Neal and DJ Giddens and Damian Martinez and Jaden Blue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rashard Smith, these types of players, than I am really the Torrey Hortons or the Jalen Royals of the world, the people that are Iron Manor, the guys they've given to us here. But I would certainly have the.
You like Besh?
Yeah. I like Bash as like a round 3 pick, but I don't envision myself getting him as a round 3 pick, just because I'm going to be taking running backs, dude. Such a good running back class. And look, it could be like the thing when we did the Kyle Krabs mock draft, where it's like the landing spots are so bad that you're like, how can I take this guy whenever they drafted 2 of these dudes, and or they just drafted him to back up Derrick Henry or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Scatterboo goes to the Panthers. It's like all this stuff feels so gross. And it could happen like that, but it could also happen to where it's like the way that I think it should happen, to where all these guys go to smash situations.
So
because
if you look at
there's so many teams that need these guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd put is that ETN that you used to add into the French tier?
Yeah.
Okay, so for the people listening on podcast, you want to go over what we've done so far here?
Yeah. So, all right. So, tier 1, we have Ashton Genty by himself, the 101 in Superflex. In tier 2, which is the rest of round 1, guys we think are worthy of first round capital and rookie drafts right now: Cam Ward, quarterback, Miami; Omarion Hampton; Travion Henderson; Quinshon Judkins, the 3 running backs; Travis Hunter, who the Browns perceive, it sounds like, as a Shohei Ohtani type to play receiver; Tedero McMillan. So that gives us 7 guys in tier 1 and tier 2, so the 107. And then we have a tier break down to the late first, early second round conversation guys heading into the NFL draft, which is where we go Matthew Golden, Emeka Egbuka, Luther Burden, those 3 receivers, followed by Caleb Johnson, Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback of Colorado, and then the 2 tight ends in non-premium, Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland. So that's 7 more guys. So that gives us to the 202 in the late first, early second. So kind of proper. I guess my first response, I'll go to tier 4 next, but my first thought here after going through those first 14 names, I don't hate the 108, 109, 110 as much as I did a minute ago before we did this exercise. 14 guys for potentially 12 spots. We'll see. It'll come to fruition next week when the draft happens. Round 2 conversation, tier 4, Jackson Dart, This is really where it feels like it's different. Jackson Dart, quarterback, Ole Miss. Dylan Sampson, Tennessee, the running back. Cam Scadaboo, running back, Arizona State. Jaden Higgins, receiver, Iowa State. Trey Harris, receiver, Ole Miss. And Jalen Milroe, quarterback, Alabama. So that's 6 more guys to bring our total up to 20 guys inside the first 2 rounds.
And then there's the fringe category that starts out with RJ Harvey, although I'll be taking Harvey earlier than this.
We will, but like we talked about on the previous shows, the consensus ADP around him and Jarquez Hunter from Auburn, we are significantly higher.
Yeah. So on the cheat sheets, we're going to have to adjust for that and make sure you guys aren't just reaching around for these players. And trust us when we say we're going to make sure that happens. That's the whole point of the cheat sheet, right? Jalen Knoll is on that list, the wide receiver from Iowa State that could be a 2-3 sort of fringe player right there. Bashal Tootin, the running back. Is that Jack Besh right there? Yeah, yep. Jack Besh from TCU. That looks like Jarquez Hunter from Auburn. Ollie Gordon from the running back from Oklahoma State. DJ Giddens, the running back from Kansas State. And, of course, Trevor Etienne, the running back from Georgia. Cody, let's get out on this. Tell me the one player here that you think has the most room to move up through the tiers with a great landing spot or higher than, significantly higher than projected draft capital or a combination of the two. And then I'll give you mine.
I kind of want to say RJ Harvey, but I'm going to go with Higgins because as I was reading the names off, that group right there, tier 4, round 2, it feels like not even a tier 4, but like there shouldn't be a tier 4. That should be like tier 5. It should just be an empty tier between the Golden Igbuka Burden stuff down to this group. But Higgins, Jaden Higgins, the receiver from Iowa State, feels like he could be in that tier by himself. If I'm explaining this correctly, tier 3 gap that features Higgins, gap, then the rest of these guys that are actually in tier 4, which is Dart, Sampson, Scadaboo, Harris, and Milroe. I think Higgins, as I'm reading through it right now, feels like he's in a tier by himself and potentially has the ability to jump up into the Burden tier, the Igbuka tier. That probably is a hot take, but if he's one of the first receivers drafted, if he's the first receiver drafted in round 2, wouldn't shock me at all.
There are 2 players, Cody, in tier 4, which is the round 2 tier. Right, not the late first, early second, but the round 2 tier, the tier 4 that could jump up into legit tier 2, and I'll tell you who they are. One is Dylan Sampson, running back, Tennessee. If on day 2 of the NFL draft, he goes pick 44 to the Dallas Cowboys, he would jump up right into that. He would be a first-round pick. There's no question about it. The other one, and you might think it's crazy, but weird things happen, right? Just imagine we get to pick 9, and we know that Derek Carr is getting let go. And with the 9th pick in the 2025 NFL draft, Weird things happen. Look at Michael Penix last year. He would go into immediate first round consideration as the starter next year for the New Orleans Saints when they decide to go ahead and take Jalen Milroe.
This is Anthony Richardson. You're listening to Roster Watch.
This is AJ Brown, and you're listening to Roster Watch.
This is Josh Allen, and you're listening to Roster Watch.